These 8 useful English words will boost your everyday fluency and your IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge score. And you won't just memorize them. You'll meet each one inside the story, feel what it means, then prove you caught it. That's how your brain keeps them for good. For 3 weeks, the scruffy brown dog came to Walter's porch every single morning, and every morning Walter chased it away. He did not know that the dog had not chosen his house by accident. It had come back for a reason, one that would break his heart wide open. Walter was a gruff old man who lived alone at the end of Mill Lane. Since his wife had died, he had wanted nothing and no one. So when a scruffy brown stray began appearing at his gate, thin, muddy, with hopeful eyes, he had no patience for it at all. "Go on, get!" he barked. The stray only wagged its tail. Every morning it was the same. The scruffy dog would be waiting on his step, and Walter would wave his stick and growl until it slunk away. "I'm no soft touch," he told himself. He fed it nothing. He spoke to it only to send it off. And still, every dawn, the stray came back, faithful as the sunrise. It rained all that week, a cold gray rain, and the dog waited out in it anyway. Walter watched from his window as the poor thing sat shivering by his gate, soaked to the bone, never once leaving its post. "Stubborn animal," he muttered. But something in its patient, faithful waiting tugged at him, though he would not have admitted it for the world. Then came the night of the big storm. The wind screamed, and the rain came down in sheets. At his door near midnight, Walter heard it, a thin, desperate whimper, barely louder than the wind. He opened the door a crack. There, drenched and trembling, half drowned, the dog looked up at him and whimpered again, as if it were begging not for food, but only to be let near. Walter stood a long moment in the doorway. Then, with a grumble he did not quite mean, he opened the door wide. "Oh, get in then," he said. The drenched dog crept inside and lay down by the cold hearth. And Walter, against every habit of his lonely heart, knelt and lit a fire for it. As the dog dried by the flames, Walter noticed, for the first time, a thin, worn collar, almost hidden in its fur. He bent close and turned the little metal tag toward the firelight. There was a name scratched onto it, not an address, but a single word. And when Walter read it, his old hands began to shake. The name on the tag was Pip, and Walter knew that name. 20 years ago, his wife, Marion, had fed a puppy called Pip, a neighbor's dog that used to wander down to their kitchen door. Marion had loved that little dog. She had saved its scraps and called it by name and laughed at it every single afternoon in the years before she fell ill. Old Mrs. Dunn, 2 doors down, had owned Pip all these years, and Mrs. Dunn, Walter slowly realized, had passed away the very month the dog first appeared at his gate. Pip had lost its home, and out of every house on the whole of Mill Lane, it had walked again and again to the one door where, long ago, it had once been truly loved by a gentle woman named Marion. Walter sat down heavily in his chair. This scruffy, faithful creature was the last living thing on earth that remembered his wife's kindness. It had not come for his food. It had come home, to the warmth it still remembered. And the gruff old man, who had wanted nothing and no one, felt the hard thing in his chest finally soften and crack. He slid from his chair down to the floor, there by the fire, and for the first time in years, he wept. And the dog, old Pip, crept close and nuzzled its gray muzzle into his neck, the way it must once have nuzzled Marion, and let the lonely man hold on to it as the storm rolled slowly away outside. Pip never slept by the gate again. From that night on, the dog lay by Walter's fire, and Walter's hard edges softened, week by week, into something kinder. The neighbors could hardly believe it. Gruff old Walter, walking a scruffy brown dog down Mill Lane every morning, talking to it softly, the two of them never apart. He had chased that dog away for 3 weeks, certain it only wanted to take something from him. In the end, it had given him back the one thing he thought he had lost forever, a small, warm piece of the wife he still loved, and a reason, every single morning, to open his door to the world again. Now, did you catch all 8? Let's find out. A noun for a lost or homeless animal with no owner. It's the ownerless cat or dog that wanders the streets, looking for food. A thin brown one of these kept appearing at Walter's gate. The brown, what waited by his door every single morning, hoping.
The word is stray.
We found a hungry stray shivering in the alley behind our house. An adjective meaning dirty, messy, and untidy in appearance. Think of a coat that is torn, stained, and badly in need of a wash. The little brown dog looked exactly like this, muddy and ragged. The what kind of dog was caked in mud, its fur matted and tangled. The word is scruffy. He turned up to the interview in scruffy old jeans and trainers. A verb meaning to become gentler, kinder, or less hard. It's what a strict face does the moment it breaks into a warm smile. Walter's cold heart began to do this once he let the dog inside. His gruff manner began to do what? Grow gentler, a little more each week.
The word is soften.
Her angry expression began to soften the moment she saw the gift. An adjective meaning rough, blunt, and short-tempered in manner. Think of a grumpy old neighbor who answers every hello with a grunt. Walter was this kind of man, growling at anyone who came too near. The what kind of old man waved his stick and told the dog to clear off.
The word is gruff.
Beneath his gruff manner, the old sailor had a very kind heart. A verb meaning to soak something completely, through and through. It's what a sudden downpour does to you when you have no umbrella. The cold storm did this to the poor dog waiting by the gate. The rain would do what? Completely soak the little dog until it shivered.
The word is drench.
A burst pipe began to drench the entire kitchen floor. An adjective meaning loyal, devoted, and always true to someone. Think of a friend who stays by your side through the very worst of times. The dog was this, returning to Walter's gate every single dawn. The what kind of animal kept its post in the rain, refusing to leave him?
The word is faithful.
The old dog was a faithful companion to the very end of its days. A verb meaning to make weak, frightened, crying little sounds. It's the small, pitiful sound a scared or hurt puppy makes. Soaked in the storm, the dog did this softly at Walter's door. The trembling dog began to do what? Cry weakly, begging to be let in.
The word is whimper.
The frightened child began to whimper in the dark bedroom. A verb meaning to rub or push gently and fondly with the nose. It's the warm way a horse or dog presses its nose against you in love. By the fire, old Pip did this into the weeping man's neck. The dog crept close to do what? Rub its muzzle fondly against his cheek.
The word is nuzzle.
The pony leaned over to nuzzle the little girl's open hand. Quick recap. How many do you still remember?
Stray.
Scruffy.
Soften. Gruff. Drench. Faithful. Whimper. Nuzzle.
A new English story every day. Subscribe and learn useful words the way your brain actually keeps them. Inside a story you won't forget.